Since we've started Little Wars TV, one of the most commonly asked questions that we've received is how can I start a club like you guys have?
This club started almost 20 years ago. It was just a couple of 2-3 guys. We met in a comic book store.
In this video, we're going to give you a 10-point blueprint for building your very own club.
And it's not just going to be those of us at Little Wars TV giving you our tips. We've also brought in some special guests from other clubs around the country to tell you how they've managed to get this done.
My tip is to start small. I know that when you're thinking about starting a wargaming club, it can be intimidating, wondering where the heck am I going to find a dozen guys to play historical war games? You're not going to find a dozen guys. You really only need 1 or 2 friends. Our club started with 3 people. So find a very small group of people. Don't stress out about getting a big group. You will eventually grow over time.
I guess my tip is to be consistent on your meeting nights. Pick a night of the week, stick with it. People need to make plans. It's easier to make plans over time when you set the same nights. This club initially started out on Wednesday nights. We did that for a long time. We've now moved to Mondays, but we're religious about it. And it's really important if you want to have people make their schedules work to show up.
So my tip is that you want to meet publicly, and it can be tricky to find a good space where you can all meet publicly, but what you don't want to do is have it in someone's dingy basement where you invite this new person, you welcome them into your house, you lead them down a dark basement into a dark basement. You don't want to do that. You want to find somewhere that's more public, more open, so that newcomers can feel welcomed and feel safe to come to that place.
My advice, before you even start collecting people to game with, is set a vision for what you want the club to be. There's a lot of different types of gamers out there. There's super competitive ones. There's rules lawyers. There's really relaxed social gamers. There are also different games that you can be playing. Figure out what you want to be the focus of the club. Try and stick to that as much as possible. I think you're going to find more people that are happier than if everyone shares that vision.
One of the important things is to be welcoming. In our club, most of the people here had never met each other before we started gaming. You need to create an environment and focus on being attentive to the fact that these are new people and that there's going to be some personality clashes, and you have to make it a welcoming environment where people want to show up and they want to play games, and you have to put egos aside to make that happen.
So my tip would be, don't be shy. Good wargaming clubs need people who are willing to put games on a continuous basis. I would say keep putting on games until somebody politely says, let me try one myself. Because what you don't want is gaps and hiatus, or people who don't feel like putting things together, and then you sit around and talk and you don't game and you lose momentum. And that's very key at the beginning.
Every club needs an executioner. You are going to have situations where somebody comes into the club and doesn't get along with somebody or is causing problems, and you need somebody in the group to be able to say, as a club, we don't want this person, and be able to kick them out. It's unfortunate, it's ugly, it's never fun, but sometimes it's really necessary.
You have to actively promote yourself. If you're meeting in a game store, put your miniatures up front, talk to people that come in, introduce yourself to new people, go to conventions, talk to the kind of gamers that you were interested in joining your club. Use social media, Facebook, whatever. Get your presence out there, be shameless in your self-promotion.
So I'm Buck Surdu from the Harford area weekly Kriegspielers, otherwise known as the H.A.W.K.S.
And I'm Greg Priebe, also of the H.A.W.K.S.
We've been asked a lot of times what makes the H.A.W.K.S work, and there's really 2 things. The first one is that there's a variety of games that we run, so people come until they find something they like. The second thing is you can't really rely on 1 or 2 guys to run all the games. It's really useful to collect up a bunch of people who like to run games.
It helps to have a lot of game masters.
To put the club together so that 1 or 2 people aren't carrying the whole club. Right? We've seen a lot of clubs fall apart because the 1 or 2 guys who run games get tired.
Another success we've had, and this is how they got me, is the H.A.W.K.S also interface with the local community colleges and run games at their various gaming conventions. So we picked up a few players.
Yeah, a couple that way, yeah.
And we run classes. Buck's run a non-credit class.
At the community college. So that was a way to find people in the area and introduce them to what it is we're doing.
What's going on, everybody? It's Joe from the Acceptable Casualties / God Eye Games. It's one thing to just have a location for people to show up at, but it's another thing if you want this club to kind of be a community, more than just a place for people to come and throw dice, but it's like, a place where people can come and do stuff together and actually make personal connections. And I think club projects is a great way to do that. Whatever people enjoy doing, you come up with a project, whether it's terrain or creating a house army for like that rule set we talked about that, you know, that your whole club might enjoy playing. So you just have it on the shelf and kind of ready to roll when somebody wants to show up, but doesn't maybe have the models there. It's a good way to kind of get everybody into the club and invested in one thing, get people working together, talking together, meeting each other, and it starts to form a bond in what your club is, and then your club gradually would turn into a community. So best of luck to you guys at Little Wars. You guys are doing awesome stuff. All you guys watching at home, you know, keep supporting the channel. This channel is fantastic for the hobby, really high quality stuff, and I hope they continue to do it. So I'll catch you boys later.
Well, that's it, guys. These 10 tips, whether you're starting a small club or a large club, should set you on the right path.
And big thanks to Buck Surdu and Joe Veltri for their tips on how they got their club started in Maryland and Colorado.
If you have a thriving historical wargaming club, then we'd love to hear from you. Please leave your comments in the comment section below. Who does number 2 work for?
Stop! Son of a...
Over the past year...
What are you saying about me not being able to remember my lines?
Hi, I'm Ed. I wandered in off the street. I didn't know this was a wargaming club. They provided food, liquor. It's a warm environment. It's better than the Y. I'm the last of the vagrants that originally came here a couple years ago, and I hope I make it.